Today, I want to talk about income. And the reason why is because I'm getting questions about this. And I want to answer this from two perspectives or in two different ways. And the first one is disclosing how YT Studio, how I make money. And the second one is more like my ideas and my tips for if you want to get started or if you want to make more or whatever. So yeah, that's what I'm going to try to explain today. Now, before I'm going to get started, I first want to talk about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for creative and curious people. And with thousands, I really mean thousands. They cover a wide variety of subjects. I mean, they go from painting to web design to lifestyle. It's all on there. And right now I'm taking a gardening 101 because I want plants to survive in my house. So let's see if I can figure that out. The whole Skillshare platform is ad-free and costs $10 per month if you take the annual subscription. And as with all of my videos, I highly encourage you guys to check it out yourself and test it yourself and not just take my word for it. And that is why the first 1,000 people to use the link below will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership so you can explore your creativity. Now, let's get started with the video. And the first thing I want to talk about is my income. This is really interesting because I hear that a lot of people think that I'm paying all of this with that beautiful, sweet YouTube money. And of course, that's partly true. I'm not denying that YouTube makes money, but I'm also not denying that YouTube takes a lot of work. And if we look at the whole of 2020, we look at my overall income, 37% of that was coming from YouTube or something that had to do with YouTube. Which means that 63% came from studio work. So the biggest chunk of my income is still from audio engineering. And like this is also perfectly in balance compared to the hours I put into the audio engineering and the YouTube channel. If we can separate them like that. I don't bit difficulty with naming the two categories. And from that 63% audio engineering income, 61% is mixing and mastering and 2% is freelancing. And I didn't do a lot of freelancing in 2020 because of COVID. Normally, people hire me to do recordings in different studios. I do some live engineering jobs, but yeah, it's almost nothing now. From that 37%, the biggest chunk is of course a YouTube AdSense revenue. That's actually the 28% part of that. 7% is Patreon, which is completely fine. It does what it should do. And most of all, Patreon always has to be a donation that people give because they like my videos and because they can miss it. It shouldn't be a foundational income. It's really an extra push for the channel. So 7%, I'm really okay with that. And there's 2% left to get to 37. And that's a bit split between the few advertisements I did for Skillshare in 2020 and the merchandise store. So that's, yeah, it really was a small amount, but it's all okay. But that's really how it's split up for me. That is how I make money and also the amounts that I make from the different sources, to say it like that. Again, it's also the amount of hours that I put into both. It's all very well in balance. However, for the YouTube part, I think it's an important thing to be spreading my income sources. And I already talked about this in my, New Year's video, but I want to talk a little bit more about this. The issue with YouTube is that it is, still very volatile. Because, your income is based on the amount of ads that it can run. And if it cannot run any ads or like last year with COVID, it completely plummeted. And also if you add this up with the YouTube algorithm, things happen there all the time as well. So it's better to spread it out a little bit more. Now, if I look at my current options, I cannot push Patreon any further because again, Patreon is really, if you want to support me, it should be really open. I don't want to push that stuff to you guys. So what I'm doing instead, and you will see this being rolled out in the channel throughout this year, is I'm going to work with sponsors. And these sponsors should be completely separated from the content of the video. So they should really like, okay, you make cool videos. We think we have a connection with your audience. Can we get a baked in advertisement in your video? That should be the basis of these sponsors. And I try to get them from outside of the audio industry. I'm always committed to be as uninfluenced and as honest to you guys as I can. But I'm also making sure that there could be no misunderstanding about this. So that's why I'm searching outside of the audio industry for sponsors. And another one that I'm going to experiment with in order to spread my income a little bit more is affiliate linking. And I really want to, well, run this for a year and then see if it's worth it or not. I think you should really run these type of experiments in longer phrases, in longer time spans, in order to really get a good image about it. So I'm doing this the whole year, and then if it works, I'll keep it up. And if not, I'll stop with it, of course. And for the affiliate links, I'm working with Thomann, who's really focused on Europe. And I'm working with Sweetwater, which is more focused on the US. So I think those two ways are really my extras that I'm going to do in 2021. In order to just stabilize that YouTube thing a little bit more. It's a bit, well, maybe looking ahead, maybe some safety for myself or whatever. Now moving on to the second part of this video. And this is really more my tips. This is really what I've learned by by making mistakes. And maybe it's just better to tell that so you don't have to make those mistakes. I'm just putting it out there, and it's up to you to see what you can do with it. But my first tip is really do not work for free. I mean, if your mom asks you to record a 10-second voice clip or whatever, you're of course not going to charge her. But apart from that, really make sure that there's always an exchange. It doesn't really have to be monetary. You can trade for different service, or you can trade for equipment, or you can get royalties or whatever. Be careful with that, because I've never seen trading for royalties work out well. But really never work for free. It's also a self-respect issue. I mean, really respect yourself enough to charge something for your services. And my second tip is, of course, be really good at what you do. Try to be the best and try to do your best work. Because if something spreads well, it's quality. And if you deliver good quality and take care of your client well, this spreads out. People talk with each other and it works. And if you do not deliver good quality, that will only hurt you. And I know that quality in audio is relative, but really just do your best work always. And you can do this by investing. Invest time in your knowledge, try to learn as much as possible, and also invest time in practicing. Try to find some multi-tracks online, mix it, or if you're more on the production side, write some music just for yourself. Just practice. And of course, if it's possible, invest. Invest in the best equipment you can get. I know that equipment is not everything. But having great tools to work with really helps the end product and just makes things a lot easier. So instead of investing in clothing, cars, and other stuff that you don't need, invest it in your career and in your future. Now, the biggest question that I get is, how do you get work? And I think there are several ways for this, and you can really choose two directions. Like you can use things like Fiverr. I don't know if Fiverr does it, but there are things like Audio Hunt and SoundBetter that really act as an intermediary between you and client and tries to connect people with each other. I do not have a lot of experience with these services, but they are there. If they work as they promise, then it should be way easier than going the other route, which is the complete self-supportive route, which is really promoting yourself, starting a YouTube channel, or different ways to promote. I mean, we even have TikTok, Instagram, and there's also something called search engine optimization, so that if people are searching for you, that they can find you up. Like, those are all routes where you can, get the word out that you exist and that you can work for people. But realize that the self-supporting route is really a long route. It's just taken me 10 years now to get to where I am. So it's all small steps, and it's really developing. So realize that takes time. And those are my tips. Now, I know that a few people were expecting to see real actual numbers in euros or dollars or whatever of what I'm making, what my income is. But I'm not going to share this. First of all, because it's none of your business, of course. But second of all, because it doesn't make any sense to share it. I mean, those numbers really do not mean anything. The percentages that I share give you guys some insight in, well, how I'm able to afford this and how I'm able to live. And I think it's also debunking the myth of the YouTube income a little bit. Like, yes, it's a part of my income, but it's not as much as you think. Think about this. Why do we always want to know what somebody else is making? Does that change anything to us? Does that change anything to our lives? Or I don't get it. I mean, it's more important to know what you're making yourself, right? For me, it makes no difference at all knowing what my neighbor makes, or knowing what another popular YouTuber makes, or knowing what a famous actor makes, or whatever. It doesn't make any sense, right? Or am I forgetting something? If I am, then leave that in the comments down below. Now, what you could also leave in the comments down below is your tips for other people who are, well, not struggling, but need some tips for making money in the audio industry, creative industry, music industry, whatever. Let me know that in the comments below. I would be happy to read it and maybe share it in a future video. If there are some, well, pretty genius ideas in there, why not? Now, ending with this segment, well, I'm trying out the affiliate linking, so try it out as well. Try my affiliate link, click it, and maybe buy something, or just click it to see if it works. I don't know. It's linked down below. You can also get the merchandise. Again, it's not a big business, but it's fun. If you like it, you can buy it. It's down below. Now, a voluntary way to support me is by pledging to Patreon over here, and more info about Patreon is on Patreon, of course. So check it out, it's linked over here. Last way to support me is, of course, by watching more videos. I mean, the algorithm likes that, so I'll link one video over here. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, keep pushing, and bye-bye.